Hello and welcome to another episode of Brad's Angling Adventures. This is the second in the series of Angling for Beginners, and if you've seen the first video, I've shown you all the stuff that you need to get out for a day's pleasure fishing with a float. I started off float fishing before I got into any sort of feeder fishing or ledgering and things like that. That's all for later videos, but I started off float fishing. Most common sort of fishing you'll find, I think, especially for beginning. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link, I don't know if it's that side or that side, but I'll put a link up to that video. But in that first video I did forget to tell you about one item that you will need, and that is a plummet. Got a few here. They come in different sizes, different shapes and different weights. These ones are all made by Guru. Hopefully you can see them, the lighting here is terrible. These ones are all made by Guru. They'll come in different, as I say, different shapes and sizes. Some you get a lot sort of bell shaped with cork all around the bottom. But we'll go into plummets in more detail in another video. But I just wanted to let you know that that is another piece of kit that you're going to need in your armoury. Today I'm going to go through what the rods are like. Now I've got a couple of rods here. 9 times out of 10 for your pleasure fishing you're going to have 2-piece or 3-piece rods, and it will depend on what type of rod you buy and probably on the length of the rod. This rod here is a short spinning rod. It's only 2.10 meters long. It's a 2-piece rod, as you can see, and it has got a full, what they call EVA handle. It's like a foam. Okay, some handles will be full EVA like this one, some will be part EVA part cork, some will be full cork. Also on this one, the reel seat mechanism is actually built in. Bloody helicopter going over. The reel seat mechanism is actually built in to part of the handle. As you can see, you turn the top part of the handle here to open and close where your reel is going to sit onto the rod. You see I've opened that up. You put your reel into that recess there and then close that back down like that. Not too tight that you can't get it back undone, but tight enough so that your reel nice and secure. Okay, and there's your reel on that rod where the reel seat is built into the handle. Now on this next rod you'll see this is my match rod, and it's 3 pieces. It's top section, middle section, and what's called the butt section of the rod is your handle. Okay, and that one is 13 foot long, and as you see with the reel seat or the butt of the handle, it's got a large EVA section and a small cork section, and as you'll see there, the reel seat is totally separate to the handle. You know, it's its own little mechanism. You've got a little wheel there that you turn to get your reel seat open and closed, but it all works in the same way. Sit your reel in the little recess that doesn't move, and then tighten the one that does move up, and your reel's on. Okay, so that's the types of rods you're going to come across, and the types of handles and the types of reel seats. I'll go through on getting your line through the eyes now as well. Sorry, one thing I do want to touch on, I see a lot of people doing out on the bank, and if you, it's alright, you know, you've got a two-piece rod, you've got two pieces, you put them together. But if you've got a three-piece rod, always put them together, top two pieces first, because I see a lot of people getting the butt section, putting the midsection on, and then feeding it out through their hands, and the rod is bending. Okay, I know fishing rods are built to bend, but it's putting unnecessary strain on your rod. Always put your two top sections together first. Okay, just slide them together, make sure your eyes are lined up, and then feed them out. Because the rod's not bending, you're not putting any unnecessary pressure on it, it's all getting put together. Then you put your butt section on, make sure all your eyes are lined up, and it's all together without any unnecessary pressure on the rod. And then taking it apart again, take your butt section off first, then bring it back, take your next two sections off, and there's no unnecessary pressure on that carbon. Also, while we're talking about carbon, these rods are made of carbon, and carbon is a great conductor for electricity. So don't use them out in a thunderstorm, don't use them near any electric pylons, or sort of if you're close to railways, things like that. I mean, one of the lakes I fish at is very close to the Eurostar line, and we've got warnings up everywhere that, you know, these are amazing electric conductors. I'll put a picture on to show you what a rod looks like once it's been hit by lightning, or, you know, a lot of electricity, and you don't want to be holding it when that happens. So just a bit of safety, don't use them in thunderstorms, don't use them near any pylons and things like that. Also, when you're putting your rods away, a lot of the time when you buy your rod, they'll come in a cloth bag. Okay, I tend not to use the cloth bags because I put them in a rod holder, but just to give them a bit of extra safety, I use double-sided Velcro. You can buy you know, bits of kit that are made to hold your rod together and hold them safe and all that, but I just buy a strip of double-sided Velcro off of eBay. It's nice and cheap, does exactly the same thing. All I do is hold my pieces of my rod together like that. Okay, put my Velcro there, wrap it around, that's not going anywhere, and then do the same with the other end. Smaller piece of Velcro, hold your sections together like that, put your Velcro in, wrap it round, and that rod's nice and safe. It's not going anywhere, it's not rattling about, sorted, nice and cheap. I try to keep my fishing as cheap as possible. I do fish on a budget. I haven't got the most expensive gear in the world. As you see in the first one of these series, I mean, all my gear come from Decathlon, and they don't sell the most expensive gear in the world, so, and the fish don't know what you're using, so what does it matter? As long as it works, it works. Anyway, putting your rod on your reel, as I said, when you put your reel together, make sure your eyes are lined up nice and straight. Just look down your rod, give your other sections a little bit of a twist so that all your eyes are in a nice straight line. Okay, then just resting this on a bag on my desk here. Open your reel seat up, put your reel on, and do it up. Okay, now on your reel you've got your handle which you wind your reel with. Okay, there's a little button on the underneath of the reel. On this reel, I mean they'll all be in different places, but this one's on the underneath and it lets the reel spin either way. Okay, if I click that button the other way, it will only reel one way. It will only reel the line in. Okay, you can't reel it the other way. You've got this part here which is the bail arm. Okay, when you're putting your line through the eyes of your rod, your line wants to come from the reel and go underneath the bail arm, and it will, if you can see it, there's a little wheel. Let me turn that. There's a little metal wheel here. Okay, your line will always go to that part there. Alright, and then when I'm putting the line up through the eyes of my rod, I just let the drag off. Don't open the bail arm because you can get spools of line come off and you'll be in a right mess. I just undo the drag a little bit just so that I can pull the line off like that, and then all you do then is, you probably won't see this line, but then all you got to do is thread it through your eyes of the rod, and you've got to make sure you go through every single eye. Do not miss an eye, because if you miss an eye out, your rod's not performing how it should, and it could put unnecessary strain on the rod and snap it. So make sure you go through every single eye on that rod. Okay, and then once you've finished, you'll bring your line back down to where you are. You've gone up for all your eyes, you bring it back down, then you can tighten that drag back up so that it's not going to pull off really easy, and then you're ready to start setting up the business end of your fishing. This is where you're going to get ready to put your line on, your float on, your weights, your hook, and then your bait, and then you're going to get out fishing. Okay, so that's how you put your rod together and put your reel onto your rod. Okay, when you've taken it all back apart again, hold on to your line like I just did there, reel it back in nice and slowly till you get to the end of your line, and then what I do is, on most reels there is what's called a line clip. Now I'll take this off and I'll see if I can show you it. You might not see it on this one. Put that down. Let me take the spool off, it might be easier. Okay, if you can see, where is it? That little part there, that's the line clip. Okay, so when you've brought the line back down through your rod, just clip it under that line clip, and it stops it all unravelling, keeps it nice and neat and tidy on your reel, ready for next time. Okay, as you can see on the reels, spools come off. There's different ways of taking the spools off. This one you undo like where you adjust the drag. This one, my match reel, because the drag is at the back, you just push a button on the top there and the spool comes off. Okay, so that's back on, just push it back on. So that's different ways of taking the spools off of the reel. Okay, and put it back on. Just there is a certain way they go on. Just put it back on the spindle, and then give it a little turn, and it'll go back into place. Then just put your screw section, this little piece back on, screw section back on, that adjusts your drag, and then your reel's back together. Okay, the handle of your reel, there's a little screw one side, you can undo that depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Okay, undo that, take it all off. Okay, there's the screw, there's the handle, and put the handle on the other side of the reel. And then just do that up, and then that's it, you're done. It's that easy, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. Okay, normally right-handed people will reel back in with their left hand, left-handed people will reel back in with their right hand. So depend on what you want, depend on what side your reel handle will sit, and you can do that in your own home. As I said, just undo that little screw, take it apart, change it round. It's that easy. When you're putting your reel away, the only part of your reel you sort of have to worry about snapping off, should we say, while your reel and rods are in transit or whatever, is your handle. Okay, this handle has got a little button there, you can see a little silver button. So all I do with that handle is push that button and it folds in, and then to get it back out again, just push it out and that's it, it's in position. Okay, little button, that's it. With this reel, got no little button on there, so what you do is that screw that you undo to change what side you want your handle, just unscrew it a little bit, your handle will come out like that, ready to use. So then screw it back in like that, and your reel is ready to use. Okay, and then when you're putting it away again, just undo that screw a little bit, fold your handle back in, and then screw it back up so that it's not all going to come apart and go anywhere. Okay, that's putting your reels away. So that's about it for this video. Hope it's been informative to everybody. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up because it does help us out. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram up here or somewhere be on here somewhere around, and my email as well. If you want to ask me any questions, get in touch. I'll always be happy to answer any questions you've got, and anything you want me to explain. If you're new to angling and you've done all this, you've got past all this stage, there's anything you are not sure on, give me a shout and I'll do a video on it and explain how to use it. Have a look through my other videos, because there are other videos that I've got on tying hooks and using hook tires and things like that, so have a look through them. But as I said, don't be afraid, give me a shout if there's anything you want to see, anything you want me to demonstrate on how to use. So till the next time, tight lines, and I'll see you lot and you over the back there in the next video.